Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are doing something pretty incredible. We are literally cracking the source code of how our minds and reality actually work. We're going to be looking specifically at conditions 9 through 16 of the Patana. You can think of this profound ancient text as basically the ultimate instruction manual for existence itself. It details the exact step-by-step mechanics of how our mental and physical worlds arise, interact, and sustain each other.
So, let's kick things off with a massive question. As you go about balancing your daily routines, hanging out with your friends, maybe cramming for your mocks, and just generally worrying about your future, what invisible rules are actually dictating your actions and thoughts? I mean, we all think we're fully in charge, right? But the Abhidhamma reveals this brilliant, complex web of conditions happening in literal fractions of a second behind every single choice we make.
There's a quote from the text that really hits the nail on the head here. It says the method of conditional relations demonstrates the interrelationship of all dhammas. Basically, it's showing us that absolutely nothing exists in isolation. Everything, from the physical stuff around us to our highest mental states, only arises because it's dependent on other phenomena, which are called dhammas. It's like a giant, interconnected puzzle.
All right, moving right into our first section, owners and parents, where we'll look at decisive support and pre-nascence.
Picture a busy construction site. You've got workers who are focused, they're doing their jobs, laying bricks, whatever it might be. But the very second the boss, the owner of the building, arrives on the site, boom, that extra effort instantly kicks in. Everyone pays way more attention and works just a little bit harder simply because of the presence of that extraordinary authoritative figure.
That building owner analogy is actually the perfect way to describe our ninth condition, known as the decisive support condition. This is when a powerful, extraordinary state or object completely demands your attention and directly guides what your very next mental state is going to be. Whether it's a deeply rooted habit you formed over years or just a really striking object right in front of you, it acts with this incredible force to shape your consciousness.
Now, here's where it gets kind of mind-bending, because time flows in really interesting ways when it comes to how reality supports itself. Sometimes things that are born earlier support things that are born later, just like parents who have to exist first to be able to look after their kids. But in other cases, it's flipped. Things born later actually support things that are already there, kind of like fresh rain falling from a cloud to nourish a tree that's been growing for years.
Let's look at the first half of that time equation. Just like parents who are already there to look after their newborn children, we have the pre-nascence condition. This literally means born earlier. It dictates that existing physical material, like the physical sensitivities of your eyes or your ears, has to be established first. That physical foundation paves the way for new mental phenomena, like your visual or auditory consciousness, to eventually blossom.
Which brings us right to our next pair, Section 2, Rain and Revision, covering post-nascence and repetition.
Going back to that rain analogy for a second, the vegetation is already there, rooted in the earth. But the rain, which is born from the clouds much later, falls down to keep that existing plant alive and flourishing. That is the post-nascence condition. It perfectly explains how mental states that arise later on actually support and maintain the physical body that was born way before them. Your later mental phenomena are literally upkeeping your physical body. It's an absolute feedback loop. Now think about when you're revising for a huge exam or trying to solve a tough math problem. You don't just read a fact once and instantly know it, right? You repeat it. A student repeating a verse over and over eventually recites it perfectly by heart. Or think of a painter continually applying fresh layers of paint to a canvas to make the colors richer and brighter.
That's the repetition condition in action. Every successive recital or action enhances the one that follows it. In the rapid, continuous stream of your thoughts, which is known as the Jivana process, similar mental phenomena pass their energy directly to the next. So what does this actually mean for us? It means a good, meritorious act done again and again actively compounds in power. Just like building a muscle at the gym, your repeated wholesome thoughts literally wire your mind to be stronger.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. We are moving into the heavy hitters now, in Section 3, Action and Result, or Karma and Vipaka. Have you ever stopped to wonder what's actually pushing you to do something right before you do it? The karma condition acts as the volition, the cetana. It is literally the willpower forcing you to act. Whether you are making a split-second decision to help someone in need, or you're acting out in a moment of frustration, it is this highly specific mental factor of volition that acts as the driver, steering your consciousness and your physical body into action. But here's the thing. Action isn't just a simple one-and-done step. It's actually an incredibly intricate four-part process. First, you have the initial urge, which is the volition stage. Once the action is done and that volition lapses, it becomes this unripe potential, the karma stage. Later, as it matures, it presents itself as a sign of destiny, the nimitta stage. And finally, out of the thousands of actions you've taken, it ripens into the mature resultant stage.
And when karma finally matures through all those rigorous steps, the result condition presents itself. What is so fascinating about this is the actual texture of the condition. Unlike the active, driving, almost aggressive force of karma, the result condition is characterized by quietude and calmness. It is this completely effortless culmination of your past actions, smoothly supporting the other mental and material phenomena around it.
And finally, to wrap up our masterclass on reality source code, we need to look at what fuels this whole system and what controls it. Section 4, Fuel and Control, Nutriment and Faculty.
Think about a tiny seed. It holds the absolute potential for life, but sitting alone on a table, it can't do much. It relies entirely on external conditions, water, soil, sunshine, to actually grow. Well, just like that seed, our minds and bodies constantly need fuel to maintain growth and sustain our existence. This introduces the nutriment condition, which literally translates to bring forth.
Now sure, we all know physical food feeds the body, but the Abhidharma points out 3 rapid-fire mental nutriments that are the essential diet keeping your consciousness alive. First, there's contact, which instantly generates your feelings. Second is mental volition, which, as we just saw, evolves into your future karma. And third is consciousness itself, the foundational support for all mind and matter. Simply put, if you aren't feeding your mind properly with these nutriments, the whole system breaks down.
And finally, out of this massive swirling storm of interacting phenomena, there are certain elements that hold the ultimate power. This is the faculty condition. It means these specific intrinsic dhammas act as the controllers or guides. They have the extraordinary ability to exercise total control over all the other phenomena arising alongside them. They are the true directors of your mental and physical stage, pulling the strings of everything else. We've just decoded the unseen architecture of existence. From the decisive support of your immediate surroundings, to the compounding power of your repeated thoughts, right down to the mental food you're consuming every second. So, as you leave this explainer and go back to your day, I want you to look around and really ask yourself, out of all these hidden mechanics, which one is actually in the driver's seat of your mind right now? Until next time, keep questioning.